It all begins in a world where humanity is forced to coexist with terrifying monsters capable of killing anyone in a matter of seconds. Deep inside a forest, a young boy and his father find themselves cornered by one of these creatures. A gigantic slime blocks every possible escape, and after exhausting all their options, the two accept that their lives are about to end. But just as despair takes over, several coins slice through the air at an unbelievable speed. The impact is so powerful that the massive slime explodes instantly, leaving the father and son completely speechless. The person who saved them isn't a legendary hero or a famous adventurer. It's Kagami Koji, an ordinary villager who somehow reached the unbelievable level 999. Ever since monsters appeared, the world has never been the same. Every person is assigned a class at birth, and that class determines the role they'll play for the rest of their life. Some are blessed with powerful combat or magic classes, while others receive far less impressive abilities. Luck wasn't on Kagami's side. He was born with the villager class, widely considered the weakest class in existence. A profession that normally condemns its owner to a quiet life of farm work and ordinary labor, far away from adventure, fame, and glory. After defeating the slime, Kagami heads to the Adventurers Guild to collect his reward. He's handed 5 gold coins, an amount that immediately catches everyone's attention. Only elite adventurers can earn that much from a single quest, especially when most jobs barely pay enough to survive. Ignoring the shocked stares around him, Kagami checks the guild's marketplace, searching for an item he's been saving up to buy. But even after earning such a large reward, he's still nowhere close to being able to afford it. Without wasting any time, he accepts another monster hunting quest to keep earning gold. On his way, he stops by the town square hoping to buy an ice cream. Instead, he discovers an enormous crowd gathered around 2 famous figures. A hero named Rex and a sage known as Kuril are recruiting volunteers for the greatest mission any adventurer could dream of: defeating the Demon King and bringing peace back to the world. People eagerly volunteer, convinced this is the opportunity of a lifetime. But Rex rejects every single applicant. At first, he criticizes their abilities. Then he starts complaining about insignificant flaws. Eventually, his true motivation slips out. He's not trying to build the strongest party. He simply wants to surround himself with a harem made up entirely of beautiful women. In an instant, the image of the noble hero completely falls apart. While the bizarre recruitment continues, Kagami remains focused on his own objective. He enters a dungeon where his next quest requires him to eliminate several blue demons. Creatures that would normally pose a deadly threat to average adventurers barely slow him down. He defeats every monster effortlessly, collects the rewards, and prepares to leave. But before he can, he unexpectedly runs into Rex's group once again. At first, Kagami assumes they're simply hunting monsters like everyone else. He's completely wrong. Rex and Kuril have ventured into the deepest part of the dungeon searching for a legendary sword hidden there for generations. According to legend, only a level 90 hero possesses the strength worthy of wielding it. The royal family hid the weapon long ago, believing that one day a descendant blessed with the hero class would claim it and use it to defeat the Demon King. That day never came. Kuril then reveals a shocking secret. She is actually the princess of the kingdom. Believing in the ancient prophecy, she brought Rex to the dungeon hoping he would finally become the hero destined to wield the sacred sword. If everything went according to plan, this expedition would mark the beginning of humanity's final battle against evil. As the group approaches the chamber where the legendary sword should be waiting, Kagami continues focusing on his own quest. Suddenly, a mysterious girl with crimson red hair appears before him. The strangest part isn't her appearance. It's the fact that she walks through the demon-infested dungeon without the monsters even attempting to stop her. Ignoring everything around her, she calmly heads straight toward the chamber containing the legendary sword. When Rex and the others finally catch up, they jump to the worst possible conclusion. Seeing the empty pedestal with the girl standing nearby, they immediately assume she's a demon who stole the sacred weapon. Without hesitation, they launch an attack. Before any of their attacks can reach her, Kagami steps in and blocks every single one. Trying to avoid a pointless fight, He quickly improvises an excuse. He claims the girl is actually his younger sister, and that the horns on her head are nothing more than fake accessories. The explanation sounds incredibly suspicious, but Rex reluctantly decides to accept it. Still, one question remains. If the sword is gone, where did it go? Kagami answers with complete honesty. He found the legendary sword a long time ago, didn't think it was useful, so he simply sold it. Everyone is left speechless. According to legend, only an extraordinary hero could ever remove that sword from its pedestal. Yet an ordinary villager casually claims he pulled it out and sold it like it was worthless junk. Things become even more unbelievable when they discover Kagami's true level. Level 999. Convinced that someone with such overwhelming power has a responsibility to save the world, Rex and the others beg him to join their expedition and help defeat the Demon King. They even argue that he owes humanity after selling the legendary sword. But Kagami couldn't care less. He's never wanted to become a hero. He has no interest in carrying the fate of the world on his shoulders. All he wants is to live peacefully and earn enough money to accomplish his own personal goal. Without a second thought, he rejects their offer and casually walks out of the dungeon. However, just when it seems he's finally returning to his peaceful routine, the mysterious red-haired girl catches up to him. Looking directly into his eyes, she reveals that she's been searching for someone exactly like him for a very long time. Before Kagami can even process what's happening, she makes a request that completely changes everything. She wants to marry him. As it turns out, the mysterious girl isn't just another adventurer. She's actually Alice, the daughter of the Demon King. For over a year, her father has been suffering from a serious illness. Fearing that someone would take advantage of his weakened condition, Alice set out to find the legendary sword before any human hero could claim it. Her goal wasn't to conquer the world. It was simply to make sure that blade would never pierce her father's heart. Surprisingly, Kagami has already met the Demon King on more than one occasion. Unlike everyone else, he doesn't see him as the source of all the world's suffering. In fact, Kagami understands that the truth is far more complicated. Demons don't intentionally summon monsters. The creatures are naturally attracted by the enormous amount of mana released from a demon's horns. In Kagami's eyes, the real problem isn't the demons themselves. It's a much deeper issue that nobody seems willing to question. Believing Kagami is the only person capable of helping her, Alice begs him to buy a rare potion that can cure her father's illness. If the Demon King dies, she's certain humanity will seize the opportunity to wipe out every demon alive, without caring who is innocent and who is guilty. The thought of that future terrifies her. After hearing her story, Kagami decides to help. But before worrying about the potion, he hands Alice a strange piece of cloth capable of absorbing mana. He tells her to wrap it around her horns to suppress the mana they release and prevent monsters from constantly appearing around her. Curious, Alice asks where he got such an unusual item. Kagami explains that he found it during a mission where he destroyed a mysterious magical stone. Only afterward did he discover that the cloth was surprisingly effective at neutralizing the demon's unfortunate ability. With that problem solved, they move on to something much more practical. Money. Kagami explains the true value of a single gold coin. According to him, just one coin is enough to buy a small house. After doing the math, Alice realizes the potion needed to save her father costs an absolute fortune. Embarrassed, she immediately regrets asking Kagami for such an impossible favor. But Kagami doesn't seem worried at all. Calmly, he tells her not to stress about it. Once he delivers the medicine, he'll simply send the bill to the Demon King, with a little extra interest added for the inconvenience. Even in the middle of a life-or-death situation, Kagami still thinks like a businessman. Later, after checking into an inn, Kagami tells Alice to stay inside the room while he goes out to purchase the potion. He also plans to hire someone to accompany them on their journey. If he's forced to fight a powerful enemy, he'll need someone he can trust to protect Alice. After waiting for a while, Alice hears Kagami's voice outside the door. Excited, she rushes over to open it. But instead of seeing only Kagami, she's greeted by the face of a complete stranger. The shock is so overwhelming. She faints on the spot. The woman's name is Takato, and she'll be joining them on their journey. Once Alice regains consciousness, the three of them sit down to enjoy a cup of tea. That's when she learns Takato already knows her true identity, and still chose to help them. Years ago, when Takato was on the verge of death, a demon saved her life. That experience completely changed her view of demon kind, and changed the course of her entire life. Later, she began working at a club, where she eventually met Kagami and earned his trust. With the atmosphere much more relaxed, Takato suggests taking Alice to the hot springs so she can clean up before they leave. Along the way, Alice finally asks a question that's been bothering her. How is it possible that Takato can actually injure Kagami during training, when he's level 999? The answer is surprisingly simple. Takato's class has roughly 3 times the combat potential of a villager. That massive advantage allows her to wound Kagami despite being only level 124. Even so, she admits that if they ever fought seriously, she wouldn't stand the slightest chance of defeating him. Her answer only makes Alice even more curious. Brief flashes of Kagami's past begin to surface, hinting at the countless hardships and tragedies he endured to become this powerful. Alice is completely stunned. Even in the Demon Kingdom, she's never seen anyone stronger than level 500. The idea that someone could reach level 999 is beyond anything she can imagine. Takato simply smiles. She tells Alice that if she keeps traveling with Kagami, she'll eventually discover the true secret behind his incredible strength. But before Alice can ask another question, the city's peaceful atmosphere is shattered. Dozens of gigantic high-level boars begin falling from the sky. Buildings collapse. Chaos spreads through every street. Hovering above the destruction is a demon riding alongside hundreds of monstrous birds. He proudly announces, in the name of the Demon King, the beginning of a war against humanity. As panic erupts across the city, Kagami moves immediately. With absurd strength, he grabs the massive boars and throws them back into the sky, using them like gigantic missiles to wipe out the flying monsters in a single attack. Yet, despite the destruction happening all around him, one of Kagami's biggest concerns isn't defeating the enemy. It's making sure nobody steals the coins dropped by the monsters before he can collect them. Soon afterward, Kagami, Alice, and Takato reunite with Rex's party once again. The self-proclaimed hero rallies every adventurer nearby, urging them to charge straight into battle against the invading army. But Kagami stops them. He points out that their reckless strategy would put countless civilians still trapped inside the city in even greater danger. Hearing this, Rex's group reaches a completely mistaken conclusion. They assume Kagami can't use magic. A little later, Alice almost accidentally reveals that she and Kagami aren't actually siblings. Trying to change the subject as quickly as possible, she blurts out something even more important. The leader of the attack is Menno, a former servant of the Demon King's family, and someone who was once incredibly close to her. With the situation growing worse by the second, Kuril approaches Kagami one last time. She begs him to fight alongside them and stop the invading demon army. But Kagami once again gives the one answer nobody expects. Before choosing a side, he wants to know why this invasion even started, and to get the truth directly from the source. He asks Takato to launch him high into the sky, so he can confront Menno face to face. The demon can hardly believe that a human has managed to reach him in midair. Without wasting a second, he unleashes a powerful spell straight at Kagami, convinced it will finish him instantly. The attack lands perfectly, and does absolutely nothing. Kagami doesn't even flinch. It's as if the magic never existed. Instead of retaliating, Kagami tries to talk. He calmly explains that he's not an enemy. In fact, he's been traveling alongside Princess Alice. There's only one thing he wants to know. Did the Demon King really order the attack on the city? The question leaves Menno completely stunned. As he thinks about it, he realizes something strange. He never received the order directly from the Demon King. It was delivered by one of the castle's servants. That single detail is enough to plant a seed of doubt. If the order never came from the Demon King himself, what if someone manipulated everything from the shadows? The possibility changes Menno's attitude instantly. Determined to uncover the truth, he decides to return to the demon kingdom as quickly as possible. But before leaving, he witnesses something he'll never forget. Kagami begins wiping out the enormous monster birds one after another. Not to show off, not to save the day, but simply because every defeated monster drops coins. Down below, the adventurers can only stare in disbelief. The creatures that had thrown the entire city into chaos disappear one after another with ridiculous ease. Meanwhile, the so-called villager is happily collecting an enormous pile of gold as if it were the only thing that mattered. After picking up every last coin, Kagami turns back to Menno. He advises him to return home pretending he was defeated. If someone truly set the Demon King up, exposing their suspicions too early would only alert the real mastermind. Before Menno can even respond, Kagami destroys the giant bird they're standing on. Both of them plummet toward the forest below. For anyone else, the fall would be fatal. Kagami lands without the slightest injury. And the first thing he does after touching the ground is calmly collect the remaining coins scattered across the forest floor. Only then does he ask Menno to stay hidden. Kagami will deal with the rest of the invading army himself. Once everything is over, he'll bring Alice so they can travel together to the Demon Kingdom. Menno can't hide his shock. He never imagined a human would risk his own life to help demons. Kagami's answer is simple. He made a promise to Alice. And he intends to keep it, no matter what anyone else thinks. Later, after the battle is over, Kagami reunites with Alice over a meal while discussing everything that happened. The two even laugh about how surprisingly easy it was to convince Menno to investigate before continuing the war. But now another problem appears. With Menno traveling alongside them, moving around normally is impossible. The overwhelming mana flowing from his horns would constantly attract monsters and expose their location. After thinking for a moment, Kagami comes up with an unusual solution. Instead of traveling by carriage, they're going to ride centaurs. Soon afterward, the group meets Menno again in the forest. The demon sincerely thanks everyone for helping him. He also apologizes to Alice for launching an attack that ended up putting her in danger. Unfortunately, they aren't alone. Hidden among the trees, Rex and his companions have been secretly following Kagami for quite some time. Their suspicions had been growing stronger with every step. After overhearing the entire conversation, they become convinced Kagami is collaborating with the enemy. Within seconds, they surround the group, ready to eliminate them. Rather than drawing his weapon, Kagami tries to reason with them. He asks whether demons are truly so different from humans simply because they belong to another race. He explains that he's personally met the Demon King and believes his greatest wish has always been peace. Then Kagami recalls an event from his past. Years ago, he visited a town devastated by monsters. Everyone immediately blamed the demons. But after investigating, Kagami discovered the monsters had been drawn there by the mana naturally leaking from the demons' horns. The demons attracted them, but they never controlled them. That tragedy was never their fault. Although his words make several people hesitate, the parties which refuses to believe a single word. Convinced it's all a lie, she launches an attack at Kagami and his companions. Using the confusion to their advantage, the group escapes before the confrontation can become a full-scale battle. Later, Menno manages to steal several centaurs to use as transportation. Thanks to them, the journey becomes much faster. That night, the four travelers gather around a campfire. As they discuss their route to the Demon Kingdom, one major problem still remains. They only possess a single mana-suppressing cloth. It's enough to conceal Alice's presence, but nowhere near enough to hide Menno. Taking advantage of the quiet moment, Kagami asks another important question. Was the attack on the city an isolated incident? Or are there more invasions already being planned? Menno's answer changes everything. His assault was only meant to announce a much larger war. The real conflict has only just begun. With that unsettling revelation, the group continues their journey until they arrive at the city of Salmaria. To avoid attracting suspicion, they disguise themselves as merchants who specialize in selling demon horns. It's the perfect cover story to explain Menno's presence without revealing who he really is. The plan works even better than expected. Inside the city, they discover a massive celebration taking place. Just a few days earlier, the citizens had successfully repelled a demon attack. Now everyone believes the victory proves humanity's superiority. But Kagami doesn't share their optimism. As he watches the parade, he realizes something dangerous. Overconfidence can be far deadlier than any invading army. If the demons launch a real assault, this city won't stand a chance. That realization finally reveals Kagami's true goal. If war breaks out between humans and demons, he won't fight for either side. Instead, he wants to create a third path, a way to end the conflict, and prove that both races can coexist in peace. As night falls, Kagami and Alice take a quiet walk through the city while enjoying ice cream together. For a brief moment, everything feels peaceful, but it doesn't last. Rex and his party cross paths with them once again. After a short chase, Kagami manages to lose them yet another time. Everything seems to return to normal, until the sky suddenly darkens once more. Level 200 monsters begin raining down over the city, announcing that the real disaster is only just beginning.